Hi, everybody.
The
How
Frost
you doing?
here, Relentless Love.
Talking about the things of life, marriage, and family problems, and good things, we hope. So hopefully a lot of you get things out of this. And this one we're going to talk about is a little bit different. Something that Kimberly and I had read in a devotional came up for us. And it's about, what do you do with the past relationships when you think about them? How do they affect the person that you're with today, your spouse? And are they causing problems, or are they helping your relationship that you're with and or in now? And there were some really key things that he said that Kimberly and I are going to talk about, some of the things that we went through that apply. So as I spoke before...
So I've had a lot of past relationships. Jay was married before.
Right. I had few relationships. She had a lot of relationships. We're not going to take time for her to go over every relationship she ever had, because that would be, number one, I don't want to know. Number two, boring, because I am way more fun than those guys. So,
and again, you know, I had one specific relationship before Jay that was probably the one that I loved the most, like the one that I thought I was going to be with. But anyway, we'll let Jay start.
Oh.
Boys first.
You could have went.
Age before beauty.
Okay, well, definitely true there. Okay, so Wendy was my previous wife. In my videos in the past, I know I've mentioned that I was married once before. And occasionally it does come up for me where I do think about, in that relationship, I left. I left with my heart was gone, my mind was gone. I didn't want to be there anymore. And it was a lot of mitigating circumstances that put me in that situation that I chose to leave. And I always thought back that if I'd been more mature, or if I had a better relationship with God, or was a better spiritual leader, because I was with God at the time, you know, before we you know, started having more of our issues, and the reason we got divorced. And it comes up for me that, you know, should I call her and say, hey, you know, I'm just really sorry that I didn't know better, you know, that I was too immature to have the relationship that I should have had. I wasn't grounded enough in God and how to have a relationship that God was having, and the difficulties that I was going through. So I look at all of those things and I think, you know, should I look her up? Should I try to find out where she is, or you know, talk to her and tell her how sorry I am for how I acted and how I treated her? And what this talked about in this devotional that we said was, well, why would you do that? Is it for her, which that's my modus operandi, it's for her, but is it really for her, or is it for me? Is it for me to not feel bad anymore about the fact that I did have a bad relationship and that I didn't handle it the right way, and that I am the one who said I need to be divorced and got divorced? So
it was more like guilt.
Right, so I felt guilty, and the guilt is something that comes up for us, but it's a past relationship. It's something that I'm not in now. Why aren't I focusing on the relationship I have today?
Right.
Why would I worry about something from the past that isn't going to change, that could cause either her or myself more hurt? That's not what God intends for us to do. So even if what I did was not the best way to handle a relationship, even if my divorce wasn't what God wanted, what do? You have to live where you are now, because I'm in a relationship now that God has ordained and I have accepted, and I have a covenant with her. Why would I waste time thinking about that? You know, or worrying about that.
And a couple things that was interesting in this devotional, and it's a marriage devotional, and it's called Sacred Marriage. And we're on the Family Life Weekend to Remember local team for that marriage retreat. It's pretty amazing, by the way. And you've heard us talk about it over and over. But it says that it's basically guilt or fantasy. So when you're thinking about your past relationships, and I'm just as guilty, because I think, oh, well, what if I would have married him? I wonder what kind of life I would have. Or I think also sometimes, oh, what am I going to do when Jay, like, what if Jay dies? Like, things like that. We've thought about these things. We're not, you know, we've all thought about this stuff. But it's a matter of, like, are you truly focused on it? Is it taking away from your relationship? So it says that guilt attacks us by using a dead relationship to distract us from a living one. So, you know, those are the things that happen. I mean, when you're distracted thinking about this old relationship or my ex-wife or my old boyfriend or what if.
Yeah, you're in the middle of
fantasy
right, or you're in the middle of an argument, or you're having a problem and you're having a season of bad issues in your relationship, and all of a sudden you start thinking about, well, gosh, I wonder what that person's doing right now, that I was with before, and I wonder where they're at. I wonder if they're with somebody right now, and I wonder what it would have been like. And all you're doing is diminishing your own relationship
right.
in a could be a detrimental way. This fantasy of what ifs can really take away from what you have, and what I have is her. And why am I going to go off on this thought process? I even met with the girl shortly after Kimberly and I met before we were married, that I was out, and I felt that I was totally in love with her. And really,
this is, by the way, this is the girl that when he was separated in our story, if you've watched our story, this is the one that he had an affair with.
Right. She was married.
But he was totally in love with her.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if it was fantasy, but I felt that I was totally in love with her.
Okay. He was in lust with her.
Oh, yes. Whatever it was. So at that time when I was with her, I chose that I needed to break it off with her because I was married and I was trying to work out that relationship. And that relationship wasn't going well, but I felt that it was the right thing to do. So I did that, and probably about 6 months after my divorce and after Kimberly and I were together, I hadn't made any contact with her or anything, thought about her occasionally, and all of a sudden I get a phone call from her. She got my phone number because she contacted my dad to find me, and we went and had lunch. And in this case, it was a good result because it was like, you know what? I didn't want to be there. There was nothing there for me anymore.
He loved me.
Right. But that was definitely not the right thing to do, but it's what I did.
Yeah, but what if all of a sudden all those feelings
what if that connection came
then
back?
I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Right. Right. And with that connection that I was having, but why did I do that? Now, I wasn't married, of course, and I'm allowed not, but the idea is that it wasn't the appropriate thing to do.
Do a lot of things
but if I was married, right? But what if I'd done that in our marriage? What if she'd contacted me 10 years ago when Kimberly and I were in the midst of all this discussion, and I'm not on the path that I should be thinking about? I should be thinking about the life and love that I'm with right now. I have made a lot of mistakes, as you have all heard me say before, and there are so many people in my life that know these things. And I'm just glad that I worked through that. And I don't think about any of my past relationships anymore. And I didn't need this devotional to tell me that. But boy, the clarity of how he explained it was that if you do that, you're really causing issues for yourself. And taking away from this.
From your spouse, too. And the one thing it said, too, is love your current spouse like they've never been loved before. So literally put your focus, instead of focusing on that and what should have been, what could have been, what if,
right.
Start focusing on the one you're with. Like we always say, the grass isn't greener on the other side, and believe me, it's not. It's greener where you water it, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to completely... and there's things, and as you get closer to God, he shows you, where you can't fix them. Just
try.
You know what? I'm going to save you a lot of money on counseling. You cannot fix your spouse. Believe me, I tried. But you can only fix yourself. And by doing that with the Lord, you get with God and he helps you and you get in the Word. And I'm telling you, all of a sudden, things that you're doing come to mind, and then you start changing. And we're all trying to better ourselves. We're all trying to get through this life and learn from our mistakes, because believe me, we all make mistakes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you're supposed to learn from them, not run away from them. You're supposed to actually learn, and then that strengthens your relationship, because then now he's seeing a change in me, and now he's going, oh wow, and then he sees the change, which then changes him. But it really is an effort amongst all of you, or both of you, not all of you, but both of you.
So who were you talking about before? I mean, you said I got to show my side. So what were you talking about?
What?
You're not getting away with this.
Yeah. So
who?
Who
was it?
I thought about my old boyfriend.
Which one?
I'm not going to say names.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But I have thought about him, the one that I thought I was going to marry. And I did run into him at lunch one time, and I was just like, oh wow, thank God I didn't marry him. But also, I have had those thoughts, but I did say that earlier when we first started, that I have had thoughts, well, what if Jay dies? He is older than me. He is a little older, just by 8 years. But he's, I think, going to outlive me because his parents and his grandparents and everybody has outlived so many people in his family. And my family has only lasted till, I think, 80s.
And most of my grandparents died in the 90s, and my mom's already 86, so I am probably going to outlive her, so I told her not to worry about it.
Yeah, but the stress that I've caused him, maybe not.
You may kill me.
We don't know yet.
You may still kill me.
I know. So anyway, but don't focus on your past. Don't
let them go. Let it go,
and don't even focus on your past, because literally, if anybody could be really like hate herself and terrible, my past. Oh my gosh, what I did to him, and that still comes up for us. Like the other morning. What was it a picture. So I don't know if you guys saw the picture of me with the kids. We had the cowboy hats on. Well, that was our journey to Colorado. And when Jay saw it, it brought up those feelings of, oh my gosh, that's when we were in the midst of everything and you were out the door. And literally, we had to give him a hug. He wanted a hug, and I gave him a hug, and then I text him later, and I'm like, I'm so sorry I did that to you. I was such a different person. Oh my gosh. Those of you that know us, and some of you are watching right now, that have been in our lives since we've been married, you've seen a huge change in me. And
me too.
And
oh
in
my
us.
gosh, I'm a completely different guy.
And we're a completely different couple too. But that's what life does, and it's a good thing, right? And I'm glad that all that happened, because I wouldn't be the person I am today. Now, if I had to do it over, obviously, if I knew what I knew today, I wouldn't make those same mistakes. So I'd be stupid. It would be insanity if I was to do that again.
Right.
So, just reassuring your spouse and things like that, that's always good to do. And then forgiveness, huge, huge, huge.
And then again, most of what he was talking about, though, is that if you spend time dwelling on these past options, and people getting into Facebook and going back to their old high school thing and looking people up, I wonder what they're doing now. Why are you doing that? Right. If you spent the same energy that you're spending in that thinking to loving and being the best husband or wife for your spouse, what would your relationship truly be like beyond what you could possibly fantasize about or dream? It would be much better, created in a way that God will bless and make it beyond anything that you could possibly imagine. It's always been that way. God created it that way from the beginning, and all we do as human beings is screw that up. So what we have to do is stop screwing it up.
Well, we still and that's why we need Christ, and thank you, Jesus, for coming and helping us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we are going to try to do these earlier outside, so we have a different setting,
which means earlier, before the sun goes down.
Yeah, I mean, we unfortunately don't have many options in our home, because we do have 2 teenagers that live here and 4 beagles, okay? So we have to lock them all away.
We better go open the closet. Braxton says he needs air.
So we like to do them outside, but now it's getting dark earlier. So it just depends on our day, but we'll jump on, and it's usually Wednesday nights. We thank you all for coming on, and Lucia, thank you for your kind words. We love you, and we miss you, and everybody else that's come on. We love you all. Thanks, Carla. And, just share this video to anybody that you know. We just want to help marriages, and, we always go by God's word and the truth, and that's what we've witnessed and what we've felt in our lives that's gotten us through is definitely God and the truth. I mean, my gosh, there's no way we would be together if we didn't have it.
Right.
So God bless you all, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And beautiful weather.
Have a great night.
Take care.